Coming in at number 10, we have the dentist who left a girl with brain damage. In December 2013, a 3-year-old girl, Finley Boyle, was left in a vegetative state after a trip to the dentist in Kailua, Hawaii. Her parents filed a lawsuit against Lily Geyer and the Island Dentistry for Children for negligence and dangerous conduct. It seems the toddler's parents were told that she needed 6 fillings and 4 root canals. Finley was given improper medications with incorrect dosages. This led to her having a cardiac arrest during her procedure. Her parents alleged that, on top of that, the little girl was left alone for 26 minutes and nobody was there to resuscitate her. Sadly, the outlook looked very bleak for Finley and her family. Coming in at number 9, this guy went to the dentist and got permanently stuck in 2005. William wishes he never went to the dentist on the 14th of March 2005. Why? Because he's always there. William's internal clock is jammed at 1:30, the 14th of March 2005, in the middle of a dental appointment. What happened was that he had dental surgery with an anesthetic and something went terribly wrong. In an interview with local news publications, he said, "I remember getting into the chair and the dentist inserting the local anesthetic. After that, a complete blank." Now, it seems that he had a bad reaction to the anesthetic and it caused his brain to hemorrhage. He now wakes up and constantly believes it's 2005. What a horrifying story. Coming in at number 8, there are no two ways about it. This point is about maggots, and I'm not okay with it. An article in Women's Health magazine has horror stories written in by dentists. One of them was written in by Dr. Gary Glassman, and it really got me. I'm just gonna read it for you. A little boy jumped into the dental chair and was actually excited to have his first trip to the dentist. His parents explained to me that he seemed to be rubbing one side of his mouth a lot with his hands. When I looked inside, I noticed his gums were very swollen and found maggots in the area. After cleaning them out, I talked to him and his family about proper dental care. Right, maggots, plural, like absolutely no thank you. If I'd ever thought about a life as a dentist, that one really has shot the whole idea to hell. Coming in at number 7, we have dentistry of the past. Look, if you think these dentist stories are bad, then just imagine what used to happen in times gone by. What went on might not be documented, but get a load of these legitimate devices of torture. Look at this here bow drill from 7000 BC, or the dental pelican of the 14th century. Sounds fun, sounds cute. It isn't. Also, hip hip hooray for the dental mouth gag. Do you want to know what they did with the dental key? Probably not. Also, do you want to bear in mind that anesthetic wasn't invented until around 1800, although they did have drugs such as opium. When someone's winching out one of your teeth with a dental key, I'm actually kind of thinking, you know what? Give me the opium. I need the drugs. Coming in at number 6, we have Chopper the Ghost. This is actually one of my favorite stories of all time. I'm just gonna go out there and tell you that right away. So Chopper was a ghost that plagued a dental office in the city of Neutrabling in Germany. In 1981, Chopper made himself known by pestering patients and dentists in one Bavarian office. The haunting began exclusively by telephone. Dr. Kurt Batscheitz or his dental assistant Claudia would speak to patients on the phone, but they would be rudely interrupted. The so-called telephone ghost would spew insults and slurs in a distorted voice. The ghost then began to taunt patients in the dental office with its voice coming from a spittoon. Chopper was a nasty male who spoke in vulgarities, except to Claudia, with whom he was lovely. Eventually, Dr. Batscheitz called the police because he thought the ghost was too much of a pest. When the police came to investigate, they too heard the voice, which had begun emanating from plug holes, wash basins, and chairs. Becoming convinced of the ghosts themselves, police investigated 55 neighboring apartments. They made ultra voice measurements in the sewers, and even high-frequency physicists built their measurement devices. However, they could only record the voice, they couldn't discover its source. The German media went mad for the story, with a lot of people becoming interested in Chopper. Eventually, one shrewd policeman noticed that Claudia was always turning her back while Chopper was speaking. He observed her in a mirror and her lips were moving in accordance with the dental ghost. Right. It seems it was all an elaborate ruse. She and the dentist were in it together and they used voice projection skills to create the ghoul. Claudia admitted that she invented the spook to relieve the monotony of work and to get publicity. Eventually, it all became too much for her. She changed her name and became a recluse. Coming in at number 5, we have Goodbye to All Teeth. There have been so many horror stories of dentists pulling out all of the patient's teeth. It happens way more than we'd be comfortable knowing. Actually, even happened to my mum once. She didn't have all of her teeth removed, but the dentist did pull out the wrong tooth, which is not okay. You just don't want to lose healthy teeth, you really don't. In 2014, a 23-year-old sued a dentist in Clayton, Missouri for extracting all of his teeth because he had an abscess. Dr. Mark D. Mayers of Eat Right Dentures told him that all of his teeth needed to be removed and charged him $5,000 for the work. Skylar King reluctantly agreed, but afterwards he learned that most of his teeth were recoverable and the abscess was treatable. King's lawyers said the plaintiff has subsequently learned that the x-rays showed that the plaintiff had at least 28 recoverable teeth. I guess that'll teach him to get a second opinion, seriously. Now, King was forced to be toothless because he couldn't afford dentures. Okay, this is actually what my nightmares are made of. Coming in at number 4, we have calculus bridge formation. Do you want to know what's terrifying? Calculus bridges, that's what. These appeared on one of my good old things you shouldn't Google lists, but it turns out I actually can't protect you forever because they have to appear on this list as they're one of the scariest things that dentists will ever have to face, and one of the scariest things that could ever happen to you. If it does happen to you though, you brought it upon yourself. These nasty looking buildups of hardened dental plaque happen when you don't brush your teeth. Once plaque has hardened like this, you can't remove it with a toothbrush. Instead, a dentist needs to use ultrasonic tools. Sometimes the smell is so vile that the dentist gag, and sometimes removal of these disgusting bridges even makes teeth fall out. Ugh. Coming in at number 3, we have death by extraction. While it certainly feels like I'm gonna die sometimes while I'm at the dentist, I, generally speaking, try and use my rational mind to dissuade me from thinking it will happen. But then again, after hearing this story, I'm worried again because maybe it will. In 2016, Haley Drinkle died a week after visiting the dentist. The 49-year-old from Grimsby in the UK died from septicemia after having a tooth removed at dental practice. The telesales manager had multiple injections before the extraction as a result of some kind of complication. The post-mortem concluded that Haley likely contracted some kind of infection from bacteria after her dental treatment. Coming into number 2, we have the dental murderer. Oh great, your dentist turns out to be a murderer. Less than ideal. Tony Protopappas was a dentist from Costa Mesa in California. In 1982, it seems he decided to turn to murder. On the 30th of September, he injected 23-year-old Kim Arison with 9 lethal doses of anesthetic as he removed her wisdom teeth. He then killed 31-year-old Catherine Jones in February 1983. 6 days later, he killed a 13-year-old girl. Like, what an absolute sicko. When a dentist goes to give you a dose of anesthetic, you trust them. Don't suspect they're gonna kill you. Okay, I kind of wanted to end this list on something a little bit more jovial because let's face it, it's been intense. So, coming into number 1, you haven't seen horror until you've seen modern day dental training equipment. You think your job's hard? Try being a dentist. This picture was posted on Reddit and Jesus Jiminy Christ the cricket, I am terrified. Who is this villain? Redditor is probably our post wrote, tried to make this less creepy, didn't work. I love some of the comments on this. One person wrote, is that the British ambassador? Which, like, lol. Anyway, this led me to wondering whether or not dentists have other scary training instruments, and oh boy, do they. Like, why? Why are they all screaming? Why are they all looking directly at you? And if they aren't, why are their eyes glazed over? Some of these are half humans, half robots, and I'm categorically not cool with it. Also, why are they hanging upside down? Okay, coming in at number 10, we have cyanide tooth. This is more of a scary dental urban legend, but I am going in for it. During World War II, rumor has it that high-ranking Nazi officials and Russian spies had fake molars installed into their mouths by illicit dentists. Now, these were in order to conceal cyanide pills. Cyanide, of course, is a poison, and these pills in theory were installed so that if a person was captured, they could commit suicide. This would basically be a safety net in case they were captured and tortured, forced to give information to the enemy, or perhaps even imprisoned or threatened to be killed by the opposing side. Nazi Heinrich Himmler famously bit into a cyanide pill in custody. Whether or not he had a tablet hidden in a false tooth is another question. Nonetheless, spy teeth were real. Here are some examples from a museum. Honestly, Ugh. Coming in at number 9, we have the fake dentist. A woman in Georgia pretended to be a dentist for 7 years. Without a license, she pulled teeth, applied braces, added fillings and crowns, and prescribed prescription drugs. It seems that 47-year-old Krista Suchek was practicing without a license and managed to leave behind her a slew of injured patients. One dental patient, David Marsh, was forced to have emergency surgery on a tennis ball-sized ulcer in his neck that he developed days after visiting the fraudster's dental practice. The woman's husband was a former deputy sheriff of the town she practiced in, which is why it took so long for her fraudulent activities to be discovered. Coming in at number 8, we have a story of revenge. How far have you gone for revenge? Probably not as far as this dentist from Warklaw in Poland. In 2012, it was reported by the Daily Mail and a host of other news publications that a woman removed all of her ex-boyfriend's teeth. Anna Makowiak used a heavy dose of anesthetic when Marek Olswick visited her practice when he was suffering toothache. Why you would go to your ex if they were a dentist, I honestly don't know. I guess this story is a good reason not to. It seems that Miss Makowiak removed all of the 45-year-old's teeth amid a moment of madness. When he awoke from the procedure, his mouth was bandaged and numb. Only when he got home did he realize that he had no teeth. The woman said, "I tried being professional and to detach myself from my emotions, but when I saw him lying there, I just thought, what a bastard." Honestly, it's not an excuse. You can't go around removing everyone's teeth. It's not acceptable. Okay, short, sweet, and totally disgusting at number 7, we are talking moldy dentures. Okay, this story was posted on Reddit by Pokemon. They responded to a thread that asked dentists of Reddit what the grossest thing they ever found was. They wrote, "My dad is a dentist. He pulled out a patient's dentures and they were covered in mold." Blah. The patient was wearing moldy dentures. That is so disgusting. Finding mold in a mug that I leave out on my desk over the weekend makes me feel gross, but moldy teeth, like, mate, it's gone wrong. I get that maybe they were old and unable to look after their teeth properly, but someone should be helping them. I also just googled what this might look like, and I guess warning, look away right now if you're squeamish. That's all I have to say, and that's not even a thing, it's a sound. Okay, let's take a break from the heavy stuff for just one number and deal with some good old-fashioned embarrassment. At number 6, we have fire drill drool. Sure, gammy teeth, procedures gone wrong, and deadly dentists are scary, but in terms of real life, more likely to happen kind of horror stories, this is horrifying. In a BuzzFeed post about awkward things that have happened to people at the dentist, one reader wrote this scare fest of a scenario. They said, "I was having a root canal done at a campus dental clinic. Midway through the procedure, they had a fire drill, so the dentist had to stop and evacuate the building. I spent the next 20 minutes standing outside, mouth numb and full of packing, and looking like a drooling mess." Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I can literally imagine that happening to me. It's something that definitely would. I did once accidentally get a glove surgically glued to my head, so, you know, I feel for you. I'm really sorry, poor dentist goer. I hope things get better. Okay, getting very real again. At number 5, we have an infection death. Sure, we may have had some scary dental stories, but not going to the dentist can be even scarier. Let me tell you the sad story of Vadim Kondratyuk, a 26-year-old truck driver from Sacramento. Vadim had 2 young children and a wife when he died on a long-haul truck drive across the states from complications with an infected tooth. He was driving across the country from New York to California when his tooth started aching, and finally he went to a dentist in Oklahoma who gave him antibiotics. Sadly, it was too late and the infection had already spread. After he made his delivery in New York, he felt he could not drive home to his wife and kids. Attempting to fly back home, he made it to Utah before he was rushed to hospital. Unfortunately, the infection spread to his blood and lungs and he died in hospital. Coming into number 4, we have Lavina. In Huntington, West Virginia, the dental practice of Dr. William Grimes has become a popular spot for ghost hunters. The dental office is said to be haunted by the ghost of an 11-year-old girl thought to be called Lavina. Dr. Grimes bought the property on 20th Street, and soon after he converted it into a dental practice, the little girl started to show up. The dentist said he got his first proper look at her as he climbed a staircase, but by then he already had over 20 encounters with her spirit. He has since painted a picture of her. Do you want to see what she looks like? Nah, like honestly, terrifying, and I wonder how she feels about the painting. A number of patients have refused to even return return to Dr. Grimes's practice for fear of being haunted by the child, although he says the haunting has made others more keen, so swings and roundabouts and little girl ghosts, I guess. Coming into number 3, we have nitrous oxide. In 2007, a former dentist was finally caught and sentenced for abusing a 14-year-old who visited his dental practice. David E. Fuster had a dental practice in Old Georgetown Road in Montgomery, USA, but he fled the country for around 4 years. Fuster was examining a child who was the niece of a regular patient. The aunt was said to have left the dental practice and left the girl in her trusted dentist's care when the procedure took longer than anticipated. The dentist had agreed to drop the girl off later. It seems he used nitrous oxide to dope his victim and then led her to a couch in his office where he raped her. The dentist was sentenced to 20 years in prison but fled the country and lived in Mexico, until luckily he was tracked down by police. Coming into number 2, we have too much anesthetic. The wrong dose of anesthetic can absolutely kill you. 3 people lost their lives when they were administered unsafe levels of anesthesia during botched dental procedures. In 1983, a dentist addicted to narcotics killed 2 women and a teenager and harmed a handful of other patients while he was high. Californian dentist Dr. Tony Protopappas was under the influence when he injected 23-year-old Kim Anderson, 31-year-old Catherine Jones, and 13-year-old Patricia Craven. They had fatal doses of the anesthetic, leading to their deaths in 1982 and 1983. The Orange County dentist deflected blame and was sentenced to 15 years to life in jail. He was eventually paroled after serving 25 years. Okay, so some of these have been pretty horrifying, and I wanted to end this list not necessarily with the scariest in terms of ghosts or corrupt dentists, but instead with something just really freaky. Record-breakingly freaky. Coming into number 1, we have 232 teeth. Have you ever had a tooth pulled? It's pretty painful, right? I guess when you have anesthetic it's kind of fine, but afterwards it hurts. Imagine having not 1, not 2, not 100, not 200, but 232 teeth removed. What is this? This all happened in one sitting, and the teenager involved is, I guess, kind of a toothy hero. Indian teen Ashik Gavai had complained of toothache for over 18 months. The ache eventually led to a swelling in his jaw. Local dentists in the Amravati region couldn't diagnose what was wrong, so instead he went to a local hospital with a dental unit. Here doctors found that the swelling was actually filled with tooth-like tumours made from enamel and dentin. It took a whole team of dentists 7 hours to remove 232 extra teeth from the swelling. Do you want to hear a gross quote from one of the doctors? They said at first they couldn't cut out the tumour, so, and I quote, "we had to use the basic chisel and hammer to take them out." She added, "Once we opened it up, little pearl-like teeth started coming out one by one." Would you guys like to see the removed teeth? Blah. Nope. Here they are in a cluster. Honestly, even the word cluster regarding teeth that have been pulled makes me feel sick. Blah.